So, yesterday we learned distance formula. I'm going to quickly review it. You don't need to write this one down. I just want to review. What is the distance formula? Hold on one second. Distance formula is D equals the square root Now remember, I'm not super picky about you including the 2's and the 1's when you write it out. But if I tell you I have a point A at -3, 7, and I have a point B at -9, 9, I want you to find the distance of AB. What would it be? All you have to do is plug into this. It does not matter which one's your, x1, x2, you'll get the same answer. So D equals, I always just do my first x. -3 minus what? -9. But if I have -3 minus -9, what's going to happen there? A negative and a negative is a positive. Plus, if I started with -3, I have to start with 7 minus what? 9 squared. That is going to then give me, what's -3 plus 9? That's going to give me 6 squared plus, what's 7 minus 9? -2 squared. What's the 6 squared? What's -2 squared? Remember, it'll always be positive because a negative times a negative is a positive. That gives me the square root of 40. Now, I can't end there. You can do the tree. I'm not going to do the tree. What perfect square divides by 40? 4 times 10. What is the square root of 4? 2 square roots of 10 is my answer. And that's to sum up what we learned yesterday. Okay, today I'm going to take it a step further. I would like you to write down this one as example 4. What if I tell you A equals 1, -1, and B is at the point 4 blank. But I tell you AB equals 5. How is this, oh, by the way, that's 2 squared, so 10. How is this different from yesterday? I know the distance this time. What do I not know? I don't know the second point. So today we are going to take this a step further by having to figure out that second point. Okay? Now, I'm still going to do the same thing. Distance equals the square root of x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. What is my distance, though? So where D is, I'm going to plug into 5. What's my first x? 1 minus, what's my second x? 4 squared plus, what's my first y? What's my second y? I don't know, so I'm just going to leave it y. Oh, I put a comma. That's supposed to be minus y. Does that make sense? Now, I want to find y, so I'm going to have to solve. You can do this a number of ways. I'm going to show you my preferred way. I will say, personally, square roots scare me. Agree or disagree? Let's get rid of them first. How do we get rid of a square root? Square it. And what you do to one side, must do to the other. What is 5 squared? What happens to this squared and this squared root? They cancel. So I can just bring out everything under my square root symbol. It went away. Now I'm going to have to simplify and solve. Do I need to zoom in? Sorry. Now I'm going to simplify and solve. What can I simplify here? What's 1 minus 4? I'm going to do this in one step instead of showing both. It's negative 3, right? What's negative 3 squared? Are y'all cool with me not showing it all?
Yeah.
Okay. Now how do I find y? Move the 9 over. I would like for you to put your pencils down so that you can watch this next thing. From here, what am I going to do to get y by itself? I'm going to square root it. Put your pencils down and just watch. I'm going to square root it. And what is the square root of 16? Louder. Plus or minus 4. Now, hold on. Pause. Last period they asked me, why? What does square rooting mean? What number, not dividing, what number multiplies by itself to give me that? 4. 4 times 4 gives me, but what's negative 4 times negative 4? That's why it's both answers. It's both 4 and negative 4. So that's why I did the plus or minus. Hold on, still you're not writing. From here, I got rid of my squared, so I'm going to get negative 1 minus y. I'm going to get 2 answers. I'm going to get positive 4 equals negative 1 minus y. Negative 4 equals negative 1 minus y. And now we're just going to solve. Plus 1 gives me 5 equals negative y. Is that right? I'm switching it. Y equals negative 5. Plus 1. What's negative 4 plus 1? Negative 3 equals negative y. Y equals positive 3. And that means, hold on, that is my answer. So that means, what's my second point? It is 4, negative 5 and 4, 3. Why are there 2 answers? Because if I were at the point 1, negative 1, I know my distance is 5 away, right? I also know 2, 3, it's somewhere at 4. Technically, it could be here, and it could be down here. That's why there are 2. Because technically, if I didn't know this was 4, how many possible points could be 5 away from this point right here? Infinite. Couldn't it go infinitely? What does it end up making? A circle. There are technically infinite amount of points 5 away from that point. But because I knew it was at 4, I knew only 2 of them touched there. Okay, I'm going to give you about a minute to write that down. Go. Do I have any questions about any step of this process? Anybody get lost on any algebra step? Ask it if you have it. Ask it. Are you sure? Yes.
I wasn't paying attention when you said
No, that's fine.
4.
Okay, so how did I get from here to here? Yeah, so the square root of 16 is 4, right? But that means that 4 times 4 equals 16. That's what that means. But also, what's negative 4 times negative 4? 16. So that's why it's both positive and negative, because they both do that. Okay? Anybody else? Okay, example, what number? 5? All right, example 5. Let's say point E is at blank 6, and F is at negative 7, 3. And EF equals that. Thank you, Ms. Chelsea. All right, for this one, is this any different? It's very, very similar. There's only one difference, and I'll show you. Same thing. My distance formula, I like to write it at the top just so I can see it. What is my distance here? Square root of 73. What's my first x? We don't know, so what can we put there? X. Minus, what's my second x? Negative 7. So what happens? Plus 7. Am I going too fast? What's my first y? What's my second y? What did I say to do first? Remove the square root. And I do want to tell you, you don't have to do that first. You could do that later on if you wanted to finagle the things inside. I like to get rid of it first just because I don't want to forget it later on. So how do we get rid of the square root? Square it on both sides. What happens to the square root of 73 squared? It cancels out, so what does that leave me with? 73. And these cancel out as well. I'm going to do 2 steps in one because really we don't need to write it all out. Are y'all okay with that? What's 6 minus 3? What's 3 squared? Does everybody see how I jumped from here to here? Does anybody need me to re-explain how I got from here to here? Now what? Minus 9. 73 minus 9 is 64?
Yes.
And then square root it. And what is the square root? Those cancel. What's the square root of 64? Plus or minus 8. And so how do I find the answer here? Split it up. I'm going to subtract 7. What's 8 minus 7? I'm going to subtract 7. What's negative 8 minus 7? What does that mean? Point E is either 1/6 or it could be negative 15/6. That would be my answer. Alright, your homework tonight is this sheet right here. I'm going to go over a couple things, and then you're going to get to go off on your own. You should actually almost be able to finish all of it in class. So, first things first. This slope section is just an extra little tidbit of, do you remember slope? It is not super important, but I just want to see. Okay, y equals mx plus b is the formula, but how do you find slope? Okay, slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. You can do that. You can do delta y over delta x. Mx plus b is the slope-intercept form. I just want the m, essentially. So, or you could use a calculator, but I'm going to tell you right now, not in K-level like that. How do you go from 7 to 9? Plus 2. How do you go from negative 3 to negative 9? Minus 6. And that's all I want you to do. You don't have to do anything further than that. I'm going to show you why I had you do this in a second. Distance formula. What is my distance formula? I'm going to write it up top just to help me remember. Also, a reminder, you will have to have this memorized. I will not give it to you on a test. Okay, so I'm going to plug in here. D equals the square root of negative 3, what? Y plus. Because it's negative and a negative, all right. And then 7 minus 9. What is negative 3 plus 9? What is 7 minus 9? Hey guys, look. Do you see a 6? Do you see a 2? That's how slope and distance are related. That's the only reason I had y'all do slope, just to see that they relate. Okay? What's 6 squared? What's negative 2 squared? Remember, it's always positive. And what's 36 plus 4? Is square root of 40 an acceptable answer? No. Why? Because it divides by a perfect square. What perfect square does 40 divide by? 4 times. And what's the square? Oh, I already did this one earlier with y'all. I just realized it. 2 square roots of 10. This was the one I reviewed with y'all at the beginning. Okay, I am not going to do, y'all are going to do this one on your own. I want to skip down here. If I give you the slope, what can you do to find the other points? So this is what I'm thinking. If I'm at 210, and I know my slope is 1 over 3, how do you move then? Up 1, right 3. Now this is the last point. So how would I get the point before this? Down 1, left 3. If I go down 1, left 1, 2, 3, where do I end up at? Negative 1, 9. Let me explain that again. If you go down 1, are you affecting the x or the y? The y. So 10 becomes 9. If you go left 3, you're minusing 3 on 2, and you end up at negative 1. If you're sitting here right now and you're like, I don't know what she's doing right now, this is crazy, I'm not going to really focus on that because you're not being tested on slope. I want you to then find the distance formula. So if you just looked at me and you're like, what's going on? Don't worry about it right now. Write this down, and you just need to find the distance. Okay? All right, I'm doing one more problem with you, and then you're off on your own. Number 4. Can y'all slide on down to number 4? Slide on down to 4. Okay? For this one, I'm going to do everything again. D equals the square root x minus x squared plus y minus y squared. My distance is what? 2 square roots of 13 equals, focus please, what's my first x? Negative 2 minus x squared plus negative 2 minus 2 squared. What do we do first? Okay, you square it. Look, please. When I square this, that cancels. For this, your calculator doesn't know what you're doing. And it will give you the wrong answer. Because your calculator thinks you're only squaring the 13. It doesn't realize you want to square everything. So what are you going to have to do? Now be careful, because last period somebody did this. That's the same thing. Don't do that. When you do parentheses, you put the squared outside. What's the answer really? 52. I say this with all the love in my heart. Your calculator is only as smart as you are. So make sure you're being smart when putting it in. Okay? So, I say it with love. You need to know you have to put parentheses or it will give you the wrong answer. Thank you, Michelle. Alright, so right here, what did we get? 52 equals, again, I'm going to do that in one step. What's negative 2 minus 2? And what's negative 4 squared? Are y'all okay with that? Now what? And what's 52 minus 16? And then, louder, I get plus or minus equals negative 2 minus x squared. And so now I'm going to do 6 equals negative 2 minus x, negative, ooh, that's a little tight right there. I don't know because I'm crazy. Sorry. No squared there. My bad. Alright, and then I'm just solving for x. I'm going to move the x over because I don't like it being negative. So what does that tell me about my answer? X equals negative 8 and 4. And that's all you're doing today. Okay? You have 25 minutes to work on this. You should finish the front and part of the back. Can everybody flip over to the back real quick? Number 9 is a bonus. You do not have to do number 9. There is something like 8 answers, and I think it took me over 30 minutes to figure part of it out. If you are somebody who loves a challenge and wants to have a go, you go. But if you are somebody who is stressed out and doesn't need more on their plate, don't even worry about it. Okay? You're welcome. All right. Thank you. Like, comment, share, multiple things.